You would say when the storm came that you would be there with your umbrella to block the rain. If you said you protect me, you would say when the storm came that you would be there with your umbrella to block the rain. If you said you protect me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Tony Ford. I give an honor to God, who is the head of my life, and to the American people, who are at the forefront of my heart. In previous sessions, we have discussed jobs and finances, including a cursory review of my vision for addressing fellow citizen concerns regarding the state of the banking industry and its nexus with commercial activity. While we should have a more extensive dialogue regarding these issues as the campaign goes forward, I would now like to share with you my vision as far as social policy. Among the topics to be covered at this time include civil rights, human rights, crime, education, and immigration. I began this session with a discussion of an issue that at any moment in time is generally close to most Americans' heart. During these tough economic times, this issue tends to become even more magnified. Of course, I'm referring to the issue of crime. Of all the prevalent social issues of the day, crime is one that generally bears a direct relationship to economic prospects. When the economy goes down, one might generally expect a precipitous increase in the crime rate. What this suggests is that the system, as we know it, has as much culpability in crime as does the subject committing many of these offenses. In many instances, what has come to be regarded as the legal issues are for all intent and purposes actually moral issues. This generally has led to an oversaturation of laws, which in turn has generally led to the formulation of an unsustainable agenda. This agenda, however, has facilitated the development of the prison industrial complex, which we will discuss in greater detail later on. But suffice it to say that so entrenched has criminal policy become embedded within our social fabric that other domains such as civil and human rights have become called into question. In this vein, some have begun questioning whether such policies are actually representative of a grand scheme to hold historically marginalized groups in their so-called, quote-unquote, proper place. At any rate, the facts don't lie, but rather are quite startling. African American and Hispanic males are more likely to go to prison than they are to attend college. Perhaps even more troublesome is that for many of these youth, their problems began long before now, as many have dropped out of high school long before their senior year. This in and of itself foretells of bleak career prospects for these youth. Yet the story does not begin or end here. Although these youth bear some responsibility for their life choices, the system itself bears similar, if not more, culpability. Just as where there is no vision, the people perish, so it is also in situations where there is no opportunities or no hope. It is this hope, or rather the lack thereof, that should give us pause. More than this, it should spur each of us as concerned citizens to take action. It is incredulous at best to assume or to believe that two groups, neither of which comprise much more than 10% of the population, are committing almost 80% of the crime. What it does call into question are some of the unjust policies that seem to entrap or to otherwise induce these youth to commit such offenses. It is many of these policies that must be revisited, and revisited now, if we are to impact or to otherwise negate these startling trends. Within my administration, nonviolent crime will primarily be handled as a civil matter. At the same time, my administration will double down on violence, and violent crime will be tried to the fullest extent of the law. Also, dangerous narcotics such as cocaine, heroin, methamphetamines, PCP, and ecstasy will receive severe civil sanctions. Drug kingpins and top-level traffickers will be eligible for transfer to a criminal court. In addition, marijuana will be decriminalized, and we will also look to legalize small amounts. Along with this, we will revisit duplicitous criminal statutes, and where we find the statutes that will be better handled by the state systems, these offenses will be transferred to the states for prosecution. We will also have an enhanced emphasis on restorative justice, and as part of this, we will be reviewing the charging decisions to make sure that they're just and equitable across the board. As part of this administration's review of charging decisions, amongst the things we will be looking at, we will be conducting comparison and contrast of misdemeanors versus felony. Who's getting which one? Are some groups overrepresented with felonies as opposed to misdemeanor and vice versa? Also, we will be looking at arrest versus diversionary program versus prosecution versus deferred judgment versus probation versus imprisonment. And again, we will be looking to see if some groups are more directed toward the higher end punishment and other groups are directed toward diversionary programs and or probation. And along the way, we will be looking at deferred judgments versus suspended sentences versus brief sentences versus extended sentences. And the same concepts previously mentioned will apply. There would also be a comprehensive review of investigative tactics and strategies. And our intent here is to ensure that we are not unduly targeting certain groups. Also, there will be an enhanced emphasis on rehabilitation as opposed to strictly punishment. And consistent with this, we will also be putting the mechanisms in place to make sure that the American citizens that unfortunately are sentenced to prison, they will be sentenced there as punishment, not for punishment. The sentence itself is the punishment. And along the way, we will be conducting a reform of the prison industries. And one of our main concerns here is that we establish equitable pay for the offenders. Now what this entails is that if the factories that are currently situated within our penal systems, if they find these individuals worthy of hire, that their pay for these jobs will be the same that a citizen in the civilian world might expect. And this is extremely important for a number of reasons, particularly two. One would be, this would be a means of helping these individuals pay for some of the costs of their own incarceration. And similarly, it would also help many of these individuals meet their financial responsibilities for things such as restitution, child support, and what have you. As part of our criminal justice initiatives, my administration will also conduct an exhaustive review of capital punishment. Consistent with this, there will be an establishment of a bipartisan panel and review board. In addition, there will be establishment of national and uniform standards and criteria. Also, DNA testing will be required in all capital offenses. Also, a 67% majority will be required before allowing the case to proceed as a death penalty case. And in addition to this, there would also be the establishment of a national facility to house these condemned offenders. In addition to our criminal justice initiatives, my administration will also pursue aggressive reform and review of both civil rights and human rights. Regarding human rights, three things take precedence. All individuals and groups will be guaranteed basic human rights and subsistence. Also, all individuals and groups will be guaranteed equal protection of the law. In addition, all individuals and groups will be guaranteed due process of law. Regarding civil rights, two key planks will be focused on. One will be enhanced oversight, and two will be stricter enforcement of the current laws and statutes. As part of our civil and human rights initiative, my administration will also conduct an exhaustive review and reform of the healthcare system. Particularly, we will be looking at things such as universal coverage, universal access, elimination of pre-existing conditions, expanded AIDS and HIV research, single payer plus, in other words, a government guarantees a minimum standard of care, citizens and or employers can augment with additional coverage, and also there will be national standards for AIDS care such as prescription meds, hospice, and treatment. Another item that would take precedent within my administration will be education. As part of our educational reforms, there will be a repeal of No Child Left Behind. Also, in conjunction with this, we will be implementing uniform standards throughout the nation. There will also be universal textbooks, computers in every classroom. There will also be an enhanced emphasis on math and science. Also, an enhanced emphasis on reading and language arts, with a minimum of 3 foreign languages required for graduation. There would also be an enhanced emphasis on humanities, i.e. government, civics, and social studies. My administration would also have a policy of recruiting the best and brightest to the teaching profession. This can be done through certain things such as higher pay, tenure, and benefits. And last but not least, there will be an enhanced focus on cultural competency. Multiculturalism is the order of the day now. Indeed, a term that has been coined by Professors Devlin and Gray of the University of Northern Iowa speaks to this issue. And this term is rapid ethnic diversification. And this concept of rapid ethnic diversification is a perfect segue to our next agenda item. And this will be a reform of immigration as we know it. 3 things will take precedent here. First, basic human rights will be guaranteed to all immigrants, irregardless of status. Every person will be entitled to be treated with dignity and respect. Also, my administration will embrace a path to citizenship for the people that are already here. And this is because logistically, it is virtually unreasonable and impractical to expect that we can send everyone back who's undocumented. Cannot happen, won't happen. However, what we can do, and what my administration will aggressively pursue, will be the Defense of America's Borders Act, and we will look into securing our borders. Every nation, every sovereign nation is entitled. In fact, the citizens of that nation can expect nothing less than that the nation will be protected. Thank you all, God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America.
Vote for 2012 for a return to the American dream and prosperity for all rather than a select few.
For 2012 committed to working to solve the nation's as well as the world's problem. Will you join with us?
You said when the storm came that you would be there with your umbrella, block the rain. And you said you protect me from heartache, pain, lies, loneliness, and misery. You said you tear down the wall. You said when the storm
To volunteer, contact either Latoya Ford at 319-883-2802 or L. Celeste Tyner at 765-243-0801. To donate, contact either Vanessa Kincaid at 708-341-3616 or Nora Bradley at 630-903-1364. Committee to elect Ford 2012.